It does have the removable mini sword with a spike in the end. Haven't had to use it yet, maybe one day.
I was in Durango, Colorado, hanging out in the woods, doing a bunch of psychedelics. Got a little flash of a bike not starting in front of a baguette store in France. I built this as close to that as I possibly could.
It was mean. The bike was just, it was dangerously fast, you know.
That experience of taking something you had built from the ground up, to take that 1,800, 1,900 miles, there's absolutely nothing like that in the world that you can do.
This recap video is brought to you by Throttle Addiction. With thousands of chopper parts, a 90-day return policy, and free shipping on orders over $100, throttleaddiction.com is the best place to build your dream bike. Check out their selection of custom handlebars, fuel tanks, made in the USA hardtails, and so much more. For more than a decade, Throttle Addiction has been manufacturing and selling the best custom parts on the market. Build, customize, and ride with throttleaddiction.com.
My name's Kevin Campbell. I'm from East Mesa, Arizona. This is my 1979 Shovelhead that I built. Basically, I bought a stock 1979 Shovelhead. It was in a swing arm frame. I was gonna modify it and run it as a swing arm and, you know, just try to, didn't have a lot of money, didn't have a lot of time, and I was still learning about these old bikes, but eventually I kind of realized I wasn't gonna be happy with the swing arm. I knew I wanted a rigid chopper. The motor was running and everything was good, but decided to go ahead and get the motor rebuilt as well. Starting in the front, we got a 21 Hamburger. Had these old AEE trees, and they had some pretty crazy pitted chrome. So I stripped all the chrome off, got all the pitting out, and then repolished the mild steel. So a lot of people think it's chrome, but it's actually just polished mild steel. Filled in the holes and had to re-drill different spacing for the handlebars. And then I added these mounts to run this early Sportster eyebrow. Had a buddy fill in all the holes and then ground all that down, polished it back down. The risers are from Lee, Vitsy Boys, but I did modify the risers. I took a couple inches out. I made the two-piece tracker bar style setup right there. The tank is just like a 2.2 Throttle Addiction tank. Filled in all the original filler holes on the bottom, Friscoed it, molded everything. Frame is an Edlin frame. Straight leg frame. I think those are the best aftermarket frames on the market, hands down. Exhaust I made in my shop. I've gone through a few different versions of this bike. I had multiple exhausts and multiple sissy bars and multiple tanks and everything, but I think I kind of finally nailed the look that I wanted with this exhaust. Those are just some old mufflers from the 70s, and I made the rest of the piping and got it all chromed. Shaped the rocker boxes, polished those. The motor's completely rebuilt, 80-inch, 30 over, cam, headwork. Pretty nice running motor, haven't had any issues with it. Brake pedal is a Lee pedal from Al from Sycles, but I cut it here and extended it and raised it up so it would kind of have a better feel for how I wanted the bike to ride and seating position. I made the foot pegs on both sides. Transmission, ratchet top, completely rebuilt, all Andrews gears, Baker kicker gears. Got the 4Q kicker pedal, really nice one. I actually polished that one. Took me like 10 hours of like polishing. You'll never see another one polished like that. Of course, we got the River Cobra seat. Love that seat. Just fits fucking perfect. LeBeef seat hinge. I like that. So you have quick access to the battery and the oil tank compartment if you're on the road and something happens. And you know, I've seen a lot of guys, they set their stuff up. It's pretty hard to get the seat off when you're riding, but this is just Velcroed on, so you can literally just hinge it like that. Fits nice and solid. Chrome TT oil tank, so I got some extra space in there to get in there and do things if I need to. I'm running the Pangea Speed oil tank bracket behind the transmission, so it gives it some extra support. Haven't had any issues with, you know, the oil tank or anything like that. I made this rear passenger peg mount. So it kind of tucks behind the transmission, and I've had my girlfriend on there a couple times, and it's pretty comfortable for her to just hop on the back and get the feet up, and it's nice and solid. I know a lot of guys, they run the real narrow fenders, but I kind of like the fatter look with the 16 and a fat Avon in the back. But I cut it up and changed the radius, added some extra flip on it. Everything on the bike is molded, the fender, the tank, the frame. I did all that. I built the sissy bar. I tried a couple different styles of sissy bars. I finally ended up with this one, and it's solid. I love the way it looks. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a raised inlay on the whole entire thing. Just kind of gives it some extra look to it. It does have the removable mini sword weapon with a spike in the end. Haven't had to use it yet, maybe one day. I made this chain guard right here, and it's made out of like, I don't know, 10, 12 different pieces that are all welded together with silicon bronze and smoothed everything out. It's got the raised inlays. Then I got it chromed, and just think it's kind of a unique look. I guess the raised inlay thing was kind of a little bit of a theme I was going with, I guess. We got the belt guard that I made as well. Same theme with the raised inlays, and that's really nice to have. I don't have to ever worry about getting a pant caught in there or anything like that. Barnett Scorpion clutch, fucking probably the best clutch out there. Primo Rivera Pro clutch, those are great clutches too, but I do like this later technology with the diaphragm. It's a great clutch, but polished that, polished the pressure plate, just kind of modified it and made it a little bit more unique. Welded on the tab for the key to be right here. A lot of guys, they run them on the back of the transmission, and you know, it works, it's fine, but sometimes you gotta reach down and you're burning your arm and all that stuff, so it's nice to have it right up here. You can just shut the bike off. It also has a kill switch for the ignition, and then the headlight high beam switch right there as well. And everything's just kind of tucked real nice and clean. I wanted the wiring to not be too chaotic, but still have some extra features and functions. I did kind of customize this gas cap as well. It's got a little skull guy on there, and I drilled a hole through the eye so it actually vents through there, and a lot of people like that, and I get a lot of comments on that. My buddy Fred, he painted the bike. I did all the molding, primed it, brought it to him, and he knocked out the paint job in about 2 weeks. The color is 1964 Chrysler Turbine Bronze Metallic, and it's the color that they used on the Chrysler Turbine car. It was a prototype car that had a jet engine in it, and I like Mopars, and I wanted to be kind of unique and different, so I picked this color, and in the sun it just really pops. It's pretty crazy. Get a lot of compliments on it, and it's pretty unique. You probably won't see another bike with this exact color, and that's kind of what I was trying to go for. I basically work in the aerospace industry. I did collision repair for about 6 years working on cars, so a lot of body work and metal, fabrication and just a lot of mechanical stuff. So took everything that I learned there and transferred it into my passion, which is vintage bikes, and was able to hone my skills. And I do everything in my garage by myself with a cheap welder for the most part. Couple shout outs, Sugar Shack Sycles, he's out of Tempe, amazing mechanic and machinist, and he did help me get this front end all dialed in. He made me a custom axle, custom spacers, decked the fork lid caps because they were sticking up too tall, and he just kind of did a bunch of work and got this front end to ride really amazing. I actually picked it up from him about 2 days before we took the trip out from Mesa to Paradise Roadshow, slapped it on, didn't have any issues. Anyways, just want to give him a shout out. It took me about 4 years to get this bike done the way you see it now, just because I took my time and I wanted to do it right. Multiple styles of exhaust, multiple sissy bars, multiple transmissions, multiple seats, and went down that whole road of just trying to figure out what exactly I wanted in a bike. And that being said, 4 years later, it's all done. I'm riding it, and I couldn't be happier with it, and I don't think I'm going to change anything anytime soon. I'm Kevin Campbell. I'm from East Mesa, Arizona. This is my 1979 Shovelhead that I built, and if you want to follow me and see some of the bikes that I build, it's Chopper Zombie on Instagram. Thanks.
My name's Garrett Peterson. I'm from Wyoming originally. Been traveling for a few years, and I brought my cone shovel to Paradise Roadshow. I just finished it like 2 weeks ago, and I rode it out here from Phoenix. So it was in Durango, Colorado, doing a bunch of psychedelics and hanging out in the woods, and I got a little flash of a bike not starting in front of a baguette store in France, and I saw it, and it had a lattice frame hex stock sissy bar, doubled up. It was obnoxious, pink and purple, and I have a history with pink and purple motorcycles, and it was just kind of a weird geometric psychedelic bike, and that is pretty much exactly. I built this as close to that as I possibly could, out of memory. I acquired a cheap cone shovel motor that was blown up and figured I wanted to do something with it. So about a year ago I started on this bike, sent the motor off, started collecting parts. I was going for like a psychedelic late 60s kind of build, but a bike that I could put 50,000 miles on. And would take it. So it's hopefully a full-blown travel bike that's lightly veiled as something shiny. And I plan on sending it to Europe and touring pretty much anywhere in Europe that I can get the bike into. I made a mistake and decided to mold a frame for the first time, which everyone says is a miserable job, and I didn't listen. Fully molded. So the sissy bar and fender are all part of the frame. I did the knife down tubes. It's a production frame. Quite a bit of work to smooth everything out and make it look the way that I wanted. I have about 200 hours in molding, and then my painter has probably another 80 hours because it was my first shot and it was clear, and so he busted off a lot of it with a hammer and restarted. I wanted to learn how to work with stainless steel because chrome is kind of difficult nowadays. So I did all of my little doodads out of stainless steel hex stock, which turned out to be a lot of fun. I did all my controls, my headlight brackets, all my shifters, and everything like that. Built the whole sissy bar, my oil bag, most of the stuff that was different that I wanted particular for this bike. I tried to make everything nice and angular and matching, and like everything's built out of hex stock. So these are old Aries flamethrowers that I pulled out of a box. It was labeled like 69, chrome, pretty box. Pulled them out. I was like, oh man, these are perfect. Set them on the table, dented one immediately. I was doing something with a drill and a wrench, and it wanted to turn into something that spun and dented headlights, so I did that. And so I messed up one of them, and then made the bike. And about 4 days in, messed up another one, and then over-tightened it and cracked the other one. So now I have a pile of my fancy headlights that are not perfect anymore. And so, which is a sign of how this bike's gonna go. It's gonna be nice for probably another month, and then I'm gonna start riding it really hard and seeing what's gonna break. I want to break everything I possibly can before I send it overseas. Being Casper, Wyoming's not a friendly place for choppers. There's no choppers running around. When I was 16, I decided I wanted a chopper. Got an XS650, as everyone does. Cut the back half of the frame off. Learned how to weld on the frame, which is a bad deal. Everything was crooked. It was kind of messed up. And but built an XS650 when I was 16, 17. Got into motorcycles through that. I kind of deviated, went into like off-road stuff for a few years. Then I got back into traveling, got into Harleys, got into FXRs real hard. Toured a lot on FXRs, and now I'm back going into choppers. Probably gonna get out of the FXR thing and build more choppers. I need less stuff, not more stuff, so that's the way to go. Again, my name is Garrett Peterson from Casper, Wyoming. My social media, my Instagram is dumrush, DUM_RUSH.
This recap video is brought to you by Throttle Addiction. With thousands of chopper parts, a 90-day return policy, and free shipping on orders over $100, throttleaddiction.com is the best place to build your dream bike. Check out their selection of custom handlebars, fuel tanks, made in the USA hardtails, and so much more. For more than a decade, Throttle Addiction has been manufacturing and selling the best custom parts on the market. Build, customize, and ride with throttleaddiction.com.
My name's Al. I'm from Redlands, California, and my shop's called Sycles. I did Born Free. I begged my way in, because I had like a Knucklehead, and I was like, I just want to do it really bad, you know. So, and it was crazy. It was like a long process, and at the end, I was like looking at it and going like, holy shit, like this is not. I am not on the level, you know. It was like the day I got there, and I just was like, hey, thank you, it's okay, but I'm gonna do it again. And I swear to God, it'll be a show bike, you know? No, it's fine. I was like, don't bullshit me, this thing is cool, but it sucks, you know? He let me try it again, and I was like, at that point, I felt like I really had like kind of honed in to the stuff I wanted, and Ben Jeff made those killer frames. I was like, right away, I'm getting one of those. The motor wasn't a Harley motor. I think there was like 3 Harley parts on the whole bike. The lowers for the forks, and the primary setup was Harley. The inner and outer, but it was all massive, you know, shaved, everything. The bike was like a love letter to PM, vintage PM. Half of it was NOS, like in the package, like buying off people, swaps, eBay, like tons of money, like cutting open packages from the 80s, you know, like never been opened. It was so cool to use, like the PM wheels, brakes, throttle, everything. Hydraulic clutch, 88 maybe inch stroker, generator style cases, STD cases, alternator left case, spoof cover on the outside. There's an oil filter where the generator would go. Put a 5-speed behind it because that existed in the late 80s, and that's like, why would you not use this stuff? It was mean as fuck. The bike was it was dangerously fast, you know. The one thing I will say about this, and like a lot of guys that set out to build show bikes and shit, you know, that day when I brought that bike, the first one I did the show, like it was very clear the difference between a real show bike and bikes that like are kind of on the way there. And there's a clear difference, you know. You can't use this kind of hardware. You have to use it has to be chrome, you know. And everything needs to be polished. The paint needs to be perfect. You have to have hidden mounts, you know. You can't just put on bolt-on shit. Like, you can't put clamps, you know. It's got to be custom, or it's not a show bike. That's just it. And so when I did the Ronin, of course, I'm building the type of bike that's not exactly like a 60s molded like bike that you think of when you think of Born Free. It was more of that type of muscle machine, but with the same idea towards a show bike. It was like just crazy polished. Everything was polished, hidden this, hidden that. If it wasn't hidden, it was exposed with braided steel and anodized fittings and all this shit. So it was I really thought I did the best that I could, you know what I mean? Al Korff, Redlands, California. You can check me out on Instagram at SixCyclesAl, and I have a website, www.sixcyclesleathers.com. At the shop, we do custom work, and we do build custom bikes, and we do some service work. We kind of do a little bit of everything. We manufacture parts, and I also buy and sell old bikes and build them and sell them. So if you need anything in that kind of realm and you like what I do, hit me up.
My name's Nic Krake. I'm from Boise, Idaho, and this is my 1981 Shovelhead with a 77 cone shovel motor. This bike for me, this is my first big twin chopper build, and it's kind of been like a challenge to myself to kind of prove what I can do. Metal fab wise, I'm a full-time metal fabricator. So I've kind of built everything I possibly could on this bike. I laced up the wheels, just early star hubs with a 21 up front and an 18 in the back, and then early wide glide trees. I split this Sportster clamp in half and stretched it out for the wider panhead bar spacing, and then I actually ended up, the frame was pretty tweaked early on, so I separated and retubed the whole front of the frame. Hardtailed it. Kind of from there, it was all just about little detail work, made my mid pegs, and did the exhaust extensions. The rear fender, I kind of got just a flat trailer fender and cut it up a bunch and kind of stretched it out, and then built that fender strut on the back with this little stainless feature. So kind of anything I could do out of stainless I did. Wanted to keep the kind of homemade garage build vibe, so I left a lot of the welds unblended and didn't rechrome anything like the riser. And the biggest fabrication challenge for me was definitely retubing the frame. I had not done a lot of frame work before. Like I said, I do metal fabrication full time, so I had a pretty good idea of how I wanted to go about it. We built a frame jig and kind of went from there, but yeah, pulling all the old tubes out of the casting and you know, turning down some frame slugs and all that stuff was definitely all kind of new territory for me. I had done a lot of like sissy bar stuff, and I built my clutch pedal. I had built that. That kind of stuff was all pretty familiar, but doing a full frame repair and straightening a frame was definitely something new for me, and I found out I really enjoyed doing that kind of thing, so I'll probably end up building a frame on my next bike. And like I said, this bike is kind of like, it was a challenge for me. I wanted to prove to myself what I was capable of doing. So I never really wanted to kind of go the easy route on it. It was always kind of like, how much can I do, you know? So it was about the end goal of being able to say I did all of it, you know? There wasn't anything that I didn't do. If I could, or if I knew somebody who knew how to do it, I tried to reach out to them and have them teach me if they were willing, and otherwise it was all just trial and error. This is my third full build I've done for myself, and I've threatened myself with building an orange bike every single time, and right as I get to buying the paint and mixing it up and shooting it, it's like I've bailed every time on doing a super bright color. You know, you put so much energy into building something like this, and then there's that moment where you're like, you have to commit to your choice. And it's so easy to build a black bike, you know, and it's cool because you're never not gonna like it. But this bike, given that I put so much, you know, energy into learning different things I hadn't done, I kind of wanted to take that route of going a little bit more wild than I was used to with the bike. Max Schaff is a super influential dude for me. We got to meet him last year at Party at the Pen, and he was a really, really kind guy. It was cool. We talked about orange paint a lot, so it was pretty fun. Motorcycles have always been interesting to me. I come from skateboarding and playing music and stuff, so that kind of do it yourself and figure it out mentality of life is something that I find really important. And so when I got into riding motorcycles, I bought my first motorcycle and kind of immediately went to a show out in Portland and saw all these bikes and kind of just the stripped back, kind of no BS styling of a chopper was super, I don't know, just really drew me in. It was choppers or nothing for me. I've actually never owned a bike that had a swing arm on it. Every one of my bikes has been a hardtail since I started riding. This bike, when I first finished it, my buddy John Kunk and I were kind of building alongside each other. We both built cone shovels, and our plan was to finish building them and then ride down to Born Free in 2023. And yeah, we finished our bikes like a month before the show, kind of got as many shakedown miles as we could in, and then we just kind of like launched into the ride. And you know, we had put a lot of energy into really trying to figure out what we needed to know and do before we went on a ride, as far as parts and tools and everything. We were going to do it fully self-sufficient. That experience of taking something you had built from the ground up, I had this frame completely apart and rebuilt, and to take that, our round trip was about 1,900 miles. Man, it just was a dream. It was like super minimal mechanical issues, and it was something else to get all the way down there, see all these beautiful bikes, and then get back on your bike and ride it home. There's absolutely nothing like that in the world that you can do. So my name is Nic Krake. I'm from Boise, Idaho. My Instagram is Nicholas Krake, just my first and last name. And yeah, thank you.
This recap video is brought to you by Throttle Addiction. With thousands of chopper parts, a 90-day return policy, and free shipping on orders over $100, throttleaddiction.com is the best place to build your dream bike. Check out their selection of custom handlebars, fuel tanks, made in the USA hardtails, and so much more. For more than a decade, Throttle Addiction has been manufacturing and selling the best custom parts on the market. Build, customize, and ride with throttleaddiction.com.
Hi, my name's Gino Ilaqua, and I brought my 76 custom-built Shovelhead to the Paradise Roadshow 2024. My wife and I are the owners of this bike, and this was a ground-up build. We started off with a fly-right chopper frame, and we went from there. We ended up buying a 76 Shovelhead and transmission, 4-speed transmission from Texas. And we started putting it all together, and I had some great help from Paul at Exotic Choppers. We went the avenue of doing solid brass. This bike is actually what I call a tribute to the San Francisco lane splitters. Saw a lot of them because we're from the Bay Area. Early in the days in my teens, I used to see the lane splitters with the real tight and going between traffic, and this is my idea of what the lane splitters would do nowadays. So we started off with a 21-inch wheel, spool front. We put solid brass, spacers in between. This is an antique Yankee skipper headlight. All the brass fabrication is from Exotic Choppers. The gentleman at Exotic Choppers, Paul, does great work. Ended up doing Exile's internal throttle and clutch, collars to make sure no water got down. The paint job is done by Shane Leisure at Leisure Lines in San Leandro, California. We ended up with throwback cycle parts, rocker covers. The idea of the microphone was just something to set us aside from everybody else. More Exotic Chopper choke pieces, Nash kicks, kickstart, just a badass piece. Solid brass pegs, shifting, brass lines. The oil tank is by Anything Goes. They make great tanks, and they make internal oil filters in here, which is really, really nice. More accent. Instead of using rivets, we went with more of the brass to hold it together. This was a 3-piece seat. It was the pan. It was welded by me. The seat is done by Buttskins. Really nice people, do quality work. And instead of using the battery compartment, we used it for our electrical harness that we ran through most of the frame. So it's kind of hidden. Kill switch, which is nice, right there. Our Buick pipes, our mount on the side. Denise and I designed these fender holders, you know, trying to separate from everything else. Then put a dish for the front pulley, and we covered that nut because that nut is always ugly. He designed this. This is really, really nice. The motor mounts and the cages, the one piece folded to cover the coil. Really happy. I'm proud of this work that we did together. My wife, Denise, and I. This is it. I'm really proud of it. Thank you for the time.
Hi, I'm Adri Law, and I'm the co-founder of Paradise Roadshow. Paradise Roadshow was born on a motorcycle trip with my partner Lana, and she had a connection at the Ace, and she wanted to put together a cool show that combined cars and motorcycles, because there really isn't many shows like that. She was like, I want lowriders and this and that, and it was just like very, very broad. So she approached me and I helped her narrow it down, and then the show was just kind of born. Every year the show grows more and more. We get like more cars, more bikes, more hot rods, and then more people just find out about the show through our sponsors, word of mouth. I have a 99 Sportster 1200, and it's gone through like a couple of versions, and I feel like the way it looks now is like the truest form, and it really is a reflection of me. I absolutely love 60s Sportsters. That's like my dream bike, so I wanted to style my bike in that way. From the way it sits to like the way the front end is and how stripped down and simple it is like completely inspired by that era of bike. I think it's kind of in the middle of those two, you know. It's still like custom, but you can tell exactly what it is inspired by. With like, has the fork boots on it, like you're like, oh, this person really likes those 60s Sportsters, you know. And I think a lot of people want to go chopper with it, and like I love choppers, but everyone wants to go like a 70s like front end, like long front end and stuff like that, and that's super cool. But that's just really not my, not my style. And so I think the way the bike looks now is like my favorite iteration of it ever. I've ridden that bike a lot. I've ridden it down to Mexico lots of times, and with my friend Becky, actually it's Axel. One year we went to Babes Ride Out, and then we went straight to Mexico from there. We basically did the route that El Diablo run used to be when it was actually like more of a run. And we invited a bunch of people to go with us, and everyone was like, oh, Mexico is like so sketchy. So her and I just went by ourselves. We went straight from like Joshua Tree and then kind of down the like east side of the Baja, and just went straight to San Felipe and then across and back up and then like to San Diego. And that was really fun. We got some Airbnbs, we camped on the beach. Becky lit me on fire. I hope she can tell you that story one day. I think that was one of the best trips I've done, and it's been quite a while since I've been on a trip like that, and I'm definitely itching to go on a trip like that this year. So we do Paradise Roadshow in Nashville as well, so we're bringing it back to the Dive Hotel in late July. I'm Adri Law, I'm from Los Angeles, California, and you can find out more about the show on Instagram at Paradise Roadshow, and then my Instagram is Adri_Law, ADRI_LAW.
This recap video is brought to you by Throttle Addiction. With thousands of chopper parts, a 90-day return policy, and free shipping on orders over $100, throttleaddiction.com is the best place to build your dream bike. Check out their selection of custom handlebars, fuel tanks, made in the USA hardtails, and so much more. For more than a decade, Throttle Addiction has been manufacturing and selling the best custom parts on the market. Build, customize, and ride with throttleaddiction.com.
Hi, my name is Marko de la Cuesta, originally from Southern California. I now reside in Salt Lake City, Utah. I brought my 1969 Harley-Davidson Ironhead Sportster XLCH. It used to be my brother's little bike, and he blew it up. I remember we were riding. I was in my Evo Sportster, and he was on this, and it was the hottest summer of the day. And it just died on the freeway going home. So basically the piston melted. It was a mess, but it's a Harley Davidson. You know, take it apart, put it back together. Got the motor rebuilt by my buddy Bruce, and I sold my old Honda to buy the project, and my best friend Jeff Leigton, that I've known since junior high, put it together. Him and my buddy Dave, they helped me out a lot, and this was 2017. The build took about half a year, and you know, it's a Sportster. Nobody really cares about them, but I love it, and it'll probably be my forever bike. This is also a 69. This is not mine, but the guy hit me up on Instagram, and he was like, oh, you have a 69 too? And I was like, hey, find my bike and basically park it next to mine. So this is a mild mod club bike from the 60s. Bill Ray, the photographer for life, took pictures of a club that's known out here in San Bernardino, and basically my buddy and I copied that look. So this is like the outlaw bike of the 60s. 4-speed, 900cc, kick only, no battery, so this thing is hard to start. But once it gets going, it's pretty quick, you know. A lot of like little things that people won't notice. Like these he made on his lathe, these inserts. Here's my favorite part. These foot pegs right here, when you can see it says Harley Davidson, it's usually one going the other way and one going the other way. But this one, for some reason, I found them going the same way. I believe they came off of the Italian bikes when Harley owned Arimachi. Italy had them, and I found it on eBay. And I bought a few sets, so, but they're not for sale, if anyone's asking. It's been featured in Dice Magazine, Greasy Culture. I won a couple awards on them. You know, I mean, people do appreciate it. Hi, my name is Marko de la Cuesta, born and raised in Southern California, now reside in Salt Lake City. My Instagram is at Sportster_summer. Thank you.
yeah. Sorry, I was like, what is he trying to do?